gonna try this video again because the audio screwed up on the last attempt. So this is a project I'm working on. I wanted to showcase, show off to the Unreal forums and whoever may be interested in my YouTube channel. So for the past pretty much year, I've been working on a space themed role playing game, and I like to release what I'm working on as marketplace products as well. And I try to make it as modular as possible because I feel if it sort of kill two birds with one stone, releasing a marketplace offering that will always be updated, um, because it's something I'm using to make my own game. So essentially, the tools that I'm using to make my creations, I want to offer to other people so that they can make their creations. And this started out as a very large scope RPG, sort of based on like Mass Effect mixed with like a No Man's Sky. It was inspired by that type of thing. I want to have a nice sort of like space opera. And I got the story written and a lot of other things, for my own personal use, whatever. But I needed to create the different systems. Um, Currently I have a leveling system in the works and other things with the character, regular, humanoid character, things like that. But I decided to start off making a space flight system because I felt that um, I wanted to have the role playing game itself. I wanted the character to transition from, running around the ground, maybe getting in a tank, to traveling in a big spaceship and also having little dog fights with something like this. So uh, I designed this to sort of play like a arcadey type of, again like a No Man's Sky type of flight thing. And I wanted to have a cool ship, so I modeled this ship that was based on um, the Tetrajets from the original Transformers back in the 1980s. Um, and some of the weapons for this were inspired by Gradius, an old arcade and Nintendo game from the 80s as well. Um, and I just it just turned into what it is. So essentially, it's a smaller module in a much bigger system. And little by little, I'm going to release each module, and then when the whole system's complete, I'll end up releasing it as a whole system as well. So there'll be modular parts that people can if they just want this or a different part for their game, whatever, and then it'll be a whole total space opera RPG pack. I don't really like showing off things that aren't completely done, but this is basically done. The only thing that's left to work on this particular pack is I want to polish some of the effects. And I'm hoping for some feedback. Anybody who sees this video, please, if you have the time and the effort to want to, let me know what you think. If you think it's trash, let me know it's trash. I have thick skin, trust me. If you think it could be improved, let me know. If you think it's awesome, let me know. Your comments and critique is greatly appreciated. Because I can't make things better if I don't, get challenged on things. Me myself, I think it's amazing. I think it's great, but that I'm kind of biased here, right? So anyway, let me showcase how it all works. So first of all, obviously the flight mechanic is sort of like a hovering UFO. You never crash. There's no gravity. There's several flight models. This is the first and the most important one to me because I like this type of flight. Again, remember, it's supposed to be a space game. It's really not supposed to be as you see when you hit, there's sort of, wait, let me see. Yeah, you see the sparks. There you go. So you can move left, right, up, down, and you can barrel roll. I don't know if I should change the speed on that to make it faster or not. I don't know. But it also has an auto leveling. So if I let go of the mouse, it will auto level out to flat level. Same thing with the, if I let go of the barrel roll midway, it'll level back out. Right? So that's one aspect of that. Also, if you look on the bottom of the screen, there's two bars, left and right. They show off the speed, and they also, like the engine, obviously it's not moving right now, but it will animate. So if I do this, and it's also, I can't talk over it. It's just gonna sound, it's gonna screw up the audio. So, right, so you see the bar moves. There's no speed indicator or numerical speed indicator, but I might end up adding that. I don't know. Again, feedback greatly appreciated. So flying forward is a booster. As you see, the flame gets bigger. Right? Doesn't take damage for hitting into objects. I don't want that in this system. Can it be implemented rather easy? Yeah, sure. I just don't want it. There's enemy classes. So these asteroids um, are children classes of a base enemy. They also have a whole bunch of different textures applied to them. It's at random. So at one time, if I was just to, it's on the construction script, so they change. Then these asteroids off in the background, that is a map actor. So you put it on the map, and it will spawn this sort of grid, in uh, eight different grids of asteroids in a big circle, and they're um, instanced static meshes right now. But if you shoot them, they will swap out to um, chaos objects that break apart. And there's also a Niagara effect. I'll show that off in a second. So that's the differentiation. These things move, so you can sort of like populate your level with these sort of moving asteroids for dramatic effect or whatever. And then there's the static ones that are there. Now these ones that move, again, they're enemies, so they have um, the same actor component that the player has, or the player pawn has, where they could have shields if I wanted them to, and also health. Um, Whereas the asteroids that are a map aspect, this big circle of asteroids, asteroid field, whatever you want to call it. Again, it's a map object. Um, they're just one hit kill, and they don't move. Right. So these squares are here for me to show off size of attacks, and I'll show that off in a second. There's a power system that currently works uh, ship-wide, and the weapon system is a active component that has the weapons themselves aren't actual physical weapons. They're just a data table with different aspects to them. So they have different Niagara systems. Some of them are projectiles, some of them are hit scan. Um, the active component acts as sort of a pseudo inventory as well as a firing system that differentiates between whether or not it's a hit scan or a projectile. Again, I tried to make this open ended and modular so that end users of this marketplace thing, and of course myself for making my own game, I have more freedom, and the end user has more freedom. I firmly believe in making marketplace offerings that I myself am going to use for my own game so that they stay updated naturally and it's not just some abandonware like a lot of these people do. They'll make an asset and then they'll abandon it because they didn't get the kind of sales that they want, or they'll whine about some other thing or whatever. I don't believe in that business practice. I think it's poor business practice, and I'm not in this. Like I'm a retired psychiatrist. I don't need the money from this. I do this as a passion project, a labor of love. The money would be nice, it's extra money, right? But I don't need it. So I'm not doing things for that purpose. What I'm doing is I'm creating these things because it's something I've always wanted to do since I was a kid. And, I'm at that age where I have the capacity to do it and really nothing but time on my hands. So that's, what I'm working on. So expect that this is going to continually get updated. Just like my arcade starter pack, which actually, side note, is going to have an update after I release this. The update's actually already done. It's like 95% done. I just have to add like a little UI thing to it, but uh, that will be updated again. So again, I use these things to make games that I want to make. Right, like I'm currently working on Burger Time. It's an old arcade game that I absolutely loved, and I'm working on a thing using the arcade starter pack to make that. And so I had to update certain things about it. So that update then gets pushed to the marketplace asset that I have. And the same thing for this. This will eventually get updated more and more, and it's going to go into like I said earlier, a bigger pack of um, a space role playing game. This is just the flight mechanics and the player pawn that you'll be able to get in and out of and use to travel in what's that called, the star system space or whatever. There's going to be a bigger ship that allow you to travel between star systems, galaxies, whatever, based on the scope of the project I'm working on. I don't want to reveal too much, but like I said, it's sort of like a Mass Effect. I have the story written, everything. I'm also a writer. That's a whole nother story. But all of that, the design of that is already taken care of. That's my particular game. That's what I'm building these systems for. So I figured while building these systems for this passion project of my own, I might as well build them into little modules that I can then also sell one by one on the marketplace, and then when it's all done, sell the entire thing as a big RPG module on the marketplace, and then as I evolve it to create my own game, it'll get improved and constantly updated. So I'm looking at this thing for the long haul. But anyway, back to what I was saying about the powering. How it works is that when you collect power, it powers up all the weapons. So it's sort of like a ship-wide power scale. I don't want to change that anytime soon. Based on feedback, there's a slight chance that I might, but I really don't want to. I like that system. I like the power of the ship being powered up instead of powering up each individual weapon. uh, that creates all kinds of UI problems, and it creates all kinds of extra work that I think is completely unnecessary. I figured, if you got a laser on your ship, and your ship's power is only 100 megawatts or whatever, and then you grab one of these power up things, modules, whatever, install it or whatever. Uh, Now it's 200 megawatts, and so now your laser could be more powerful. Just think of it like that. Whatever. So yeah, so currently there's a power scale, as you can see on the bottom left of the HUD. It's 1 out of 11. If I changed the variable number to 1,000, it would show up here on the screen on the UI 1/1,000. So the end user can change the power level at will. Also, it shows what primary and what secondary weapon is currently equipped. And since we have none, here's the weapon screen, which you can select weapons on once you collect them. Uh, it shows what you have currently. Now, there's no current way to shut off weapons. So, in other words, if I was to collect all the weapons and then not want to have any weapons for whatever reason, that's not possible. I don't really even see a reason for that. But again, feedback, you let me know what you think. Personally, again, I don't think that it's necessary because why would you not want to have weapons? The only reason why you don't have weapons to start off is, a sort of progression mechanic. But anyway, so all of this is handled by the actor component. It's called weapon component, whatever it's called. Um, that handles the firing, the management, uh, and and the powering up, the range, the speed of the weapon, the damage that it does, right? The effects. There's also an effect system where, um, based on the damage type, there's I think four damage types. There's or maybe five. I don't remember, but there's a few different damage types. I'll show them off. And so all of that's handled in the component, and again, made to be modular. Now the enemies, they have their own weapon component that's a lot simpler. It's just it fires. That's it. Um, you could, I guess, put the player's weapon component on an enemy if you wanted to. There'd be a little extra setup involved, but it's possible. Again, that's why I made it in components. Most of the things that I make, and you'll notice that if you own the arcade starter pack as well, most things are componentized, because I like modularity. That's what I feel is the point of having a marketplace asset. You want it to be as modular and universal as possible within reason, so that other people can use it to create their own creations. So anyway, so enough talk. I'll show off some of the weapons, or all of the weapons. Starting with the rapid fire sort of machine gun weapon. Okay. So first thing, I'll shoot up this asteroid, which is an enemy, and you can tell because it's moving. Again, these background ones, if I shoot it, it just takes one shot. Let's find a close one. Yeah, see, now it shows up in red. All right, so it explodes into pieces. I guess the Niagara effect sort of it overshadows the breaking aspect of it, but it still breaks. So you see afterwards, that's the different particles or whatever. Also, when you blow up one of these asteroids here, it pushes your ship back. So if you notice, there was like sort of a. It's not just a screen shake or anything like that. It literally physically pushes the ship back. That does not happen when you shoot one of the enemies. So there's a hit effect. When an enemy gets hit, it lights up to show that you did damage to it. Again, that's like an old school way of showing how things took damage. Before health bars were on everything, and again, remember this was inspired by old games. This wasn't inspired by modern games too much. It was, but not too much. But anyway, yeah. So again, yeah, I can shoot rapid fire. If I shoot at something that's not within range, it's not going to do anything. It won't reach it. The the lifespan of projectiles is literally based on the speed in which they're traveling as well as their range. And the range is determined by the weapon component, which again is determined by the power. So the more you power it up, the longer the range gets. And again, these are all variables that you can tinker with yourself as an end user, and give it a much longer range, much shorter range, doesn't matter. Okay, so that's the Vulcan machine gun sort of rapid fire. Right? Then there's, I'm not going to do the rocket launcher, the missile launcher, or the photon torpedo just yet because those are secondary weapons. They show up on here and they fire alongside of your primary weapons. Again, inspired by Gradius, which, if you've ever played that game, you have your main weapons and then you like drop bombs, missiles, and things like that that also fire every time you press fire. So again, that's where that was inspired from. So the next one I'll go is a freeze cannon. Now, the freeze cannon was somewhat inspired by Metroid, the original Metroid, where if you shoot an enemy, they get frozen for a little bit and they can't act. Um, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but it freezes the enemy in place and puts a ice thing around them. Actually, if you shoot it more, the ice will get bigger and thicker, and it also refreshes the time. So if I shoot it, then I wait, and then I shoot again, it just refreshed the time. back to see. All right. So anyway, so there's that effect. Then there's yeah, the plasma cannon, which will set the enemy on fire, but I don't have the effect uh, working just yet. So I would die. So if we shoot this one, it says burning, and then it says burning full, stop burning. So the mechanics of it are already set up. I just have to apply the effect, and then I can get rid of those words and such. Anyway, so then there's the ripple laser, which this again is inspired by Gradius. I'm still working on the effect. Currently, I think the effect is lackluster. Again, would love feedback on it. So hopefully somebody has something to say about it. So essentially, it's a laser. It's really a projectile. It's not a hit scan. It's a laser that grows with distance, and I want the effect to sort of have like trails and stuff like that. I'm gonna improve that effect by hook or by crook. But anyway, so charge laser again, uh, something that I got inspired from the game Gradius. If you hold it down, it grows, and then you let go, and it fires. You can also fire it regular, but it's not going to do much damage at all. So if we look at this, use this as an example. So this has 95 out of 100 health, right? So if I shoot it once, it's 89 out of 100. But if I charge it up fully, what does it say now? Now it's 79 out of 100, with about 10 damage. Now, the hit effect, as you can see, is green, which it shouldn't be, but I'm still working on the hit effect. I want to have nice effects for every single weapon, and that's really all that's keeping me from releasing this. That's why I'm showing it off now, because it's essentially done. All the code is done. I haven't touched code in over a week. It's been tested. It works good. It's nice and modular. I perhaps need to comment it more and give every single variable a description. But other than that, the code is done. At least for the initial release. Again, I'm going to improve it in the future. So, all right, the burst laser. It's another one that I want to work on. Currently, it's a projectile, but I want to turn it into a hit scan sort of tracer thing. Now, I got the sound effects from Creative Commons. What's the name of that website? I forgot. But essentially, I thought this one was perfect because it sounds almost exactly like Star Wars. Right? It's very similar. Right? And that was sort of the inspiration for the burst laser was this whole Star Wars, laser battles, which again, when I was a kid, I was mesmerized by. What was it, 1979? I was 11, whatever. But anyway, um, so yeah, I want to eventually make it hit scan rather than a projectile. Not only for the speed, but also I want to make the effect look nice. So right now it's just a glowy projectile, sort of like the Vulcan. And I want to make it a hit scan. Now these last three, lightning, Gauss, which is a railgun, and spectrum beam, those are hit scan. So we'll use the lightning first. I don't really like the sound effect, but that's beside the point. Again, they can be easily swapped out. It's a data table. So as you can see, it's sort of like a lightning beam that comes out. So it's an instant hit scan weapon where the beam is just a Niagara effect that's applied to the beginning and end. I think it was a pretty clever way I handled it as well, but that's beside the point. the railgun or Gauss cannon is this was inspired by that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he's got to save the chick and they're trying to shoot it through the house. I forgot the name of it, but anyway, as you can see, it's a beam with sort of like, I guess, a temporal, whatever you call it. I don't know. But anyway, in the movie, it was like a smoke detector, but I just thought this was cool. So then the final beam was inspired by Super Metroid in the last fight with the last boss. You sort of got powered up by a Metroid, and then Samus started firing these sort of like rainbow effect beams. I couldn't replicate it exactly as it was in that game. Also, it sort of would have been more of a projectile, but this is a hit scan. So, but I just think mine looks even cooler actually. So basically, the beam changes color over time. It actually the material effect moves. It's very subtle. You wouldn't be able to see it, but every time you fire, it's a different color that it starts with. And the effect when it hits, see, I'll shoot it to the ground. It's sort of like a rainbow hit. I just think it looks cool. I'm not making a political statement here. But anyway, there we go. I'll show off the shield effect. The enemies have a shield effect. So, yeah. So if I shoot the shield, as you can see, his health bar is still 100. So this enemy is shielded, the other ones weren't. So when I shoot it, there we go. So effects, as you can see, it says irradiate. Effects don't happen to shielded characters. So once the shield was brought down, right. So it's a damage over time effect. It being irradiated, it's sort of like being on fire. Okay, so let's see. I got all the primary weapons. So now, if I go and just to demonstrate, I'll shoot one of these guys. They all have the same amount of health. They have 100 health each. Again, that's a component. They use the same health component as the player. Uh, it would be silly to put shields on asteroids so they don't have a shield. But if I put a number in the shields, they would have shields. I would also have to apply the shielding effect, but I'm going to figure out a way to make that so that if you just put number in the shields, it will give whatever you have a shielding effect. I could have sworn I already set that up, but I don't think I did. But anyway, so if I shoot one of them once, it just did a little bit of damage, and it didn't kill it, obviously. So if I fully power this up, one shot, I don't know if one shot will kill one of them, but it shouldn't take many. So let's see. Let's see what happens with one shot. I shoot the same one, so it already has a little damage taken from it. So one shot will kill. Let's see about this one. Yeah. So fully powered up, this will kill 100 health enemy in one shot. Again, these things off in the background, they all have only one hit because again, they're just static meshes that when you hit them, they swap out to a chaos collection, whatever the hell it's called. I forgot what it's called, and they explode. Right, so you see all the particles from the chaos. There's no gravity applied. It's supposed to be space, right? No gravity. The range is rather long because I've fully powered this thing up. Let's see. Can we hit that one over there? Yep. Can we hit that one? Yep. Can we hit that far one over there? Yep. Look at that. That one's pretty far. So, there we go. Right, so as you can see, they instantly get hit because it's a hit scan. But there we go. Let's see. All right, so I killed all the enemies, so I'm gonna have to restart it. But again, if you want to switch between weapons, There's the weapon screen. Right? And if you look at the weapons from the side, they almost all have cool muzzle effects. So there's a muzzle effect, there's a beam effect or a projectile effect, and then there's the hit effect. And like I said, that's the last thing that I'm working on for everything. So let me restart it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to collect the secondary weapons. So we have photon torpedo, which you can tell by the name was inspired by Star Trek. I loved Star Trek as a kid. But anyway, it's become trash now, but you know, culture wars. Anyway, so the photon torpedo as a secondary weapon, um, it's a homing sort of missile. Right? So if I shoot here, so it has its own explosion. All explosive damage types, when they reach their projectile death, they explode. So it has its own. And again, I'm pretty proud of that effect. I think it looks cool. Not a Niagara artist, but I think I do pretty good. I don't know. You be the judge. Let me know. Anyway, so yeah, that works that way. So now let me also grab. I just want to grab secondary weapons. So let's see. We got the missile launcher. Let's go with the rocket launcher. So the rocket launcher does not um, home. It's not a homing thing, and it has its own thing. Where again, if I shoot it, you see. Can I reach these? Let's see. Yeah. Well, anyway, and then where's the missile? The missile launcher right here. Now the missile also has homing, so it's a missile. It should have homing. So now, if we look at the size, that's why I put these here. If we look at the size of the missile explosion, you know, it's just about as big as I could say, a little bit bigger, right? And then the photon torpedo, same thing. Watch the explosion would encompass one of these squares. I think that's something like 200 meters or something like that. And the same for the rocket, right? Now, if I power them up, they will grow in size. I'm not going to bother to, you know, just incrementally power them up. You'll have to trust me that they incrementally grow in size. But I'm just going to power it all the way up to the top. Right? Now, just to mention it, for this system currently, it's sort of very arcadey, where you know you just hover over something and it picks it up. In When the entire RPG system is fleshed out as the actual RPG game, I'll probably have something and if, you know, a way to do it through like the UI and sort of power it up with like you know buying stuff from stores or whatever. Um, you know, again, the arcadey aspect of it right now is for functionality. Um, Again, you'll have the choice as the end user to incorporate it either way in your own game. But currently, for this release, because again, this is just the release of just the flight mechanics and the flight system, um, it's just going to have this arcade way of handling it. When it's a full-fledged RPG system and it's in that pack, it will have multiple different ways of upgrading the ship and so on. But again, I doubt I'm going to change the power scaling. The power scaling, I think, is fine as it is. So anyway, so now it's fully powered up, as you can see, 1111 on the bottom left side. Now watch the size of the explosion. Let me pull back a little. Much bigger. It's about 4 times bigger. Then there's oh, I'm getting shot from behind over here by the enemies. This one shot on this should probably kill him, even with the shield. Let's see. Yeah, goodbye. Anyway, so let me go back to missile launcher now, and again, it's the scale is pretty much the same. Okay, and then photon torpedo, bigger scale. Right. So now, if I shoot these three enemies over here, watch what happens. Boom! They all get destroyed because not only is the Niagara system bigger, there's also an area of effect damage that destroys anything in that area. And it's matched up. You can see it by enabling debugging, which I have in the blueprint itself. Oh, I forgot to mention it, it's a blueprint system. It'll eventually get made into a C++ plugin for the overall RPG system at some point, especially when things get more complex. It'll need to be like that. But for now, as this asset, it's always going to be sold as a blueprint only. So anyway, so now that I took a little damage, that takes I can show that there's like healing items. Oh, come on, hit him. Take a little more damage. Two more shots should do it. Okay, so we got a little off the health. Okay. Also, you can die as well. I mean, I'll show that in a second. First, let me heal him. Let's heal him. Go. And shoot. Oh, also, if you shoot these things, same thing. Blow up a whole bunch of them in the air, and it'll push you back quite a bit. So, oh, did I show the boost? The flame gets bigger, and the boost is shown on the right side. I mean, the HUD isn't as beautiful as, again, I'm not a 2D artist either, but I think for somebody who's not a traditional 2D artist, I think I did pretty good with the HUD. Again, I'll let you be the judge. Um, so every time the play is hit, you can see it's sort of like, flashes to let you know. And no explosion system is implemented, but the functionality is there. So when he dies, he's invincible for a little bit, see? And then he can start taking damage again. So again, arcadey type of respawn and damage system, which I have, like I said, no intention of changing that anytime soon. When it's incorporated into the overall role playing system, depending on how I implement it, there'll be different, aspects of that system, ways of doing it. But yeah, I guess that's about it. Well, last but not least, well, first of all, I can show off the way the model looks. Again, I modeled this. I'm not a modeler, not a 2D artist. I'm not a modeler, and I'm not a effects guy. But I, learned enough so that I can be able to make my own stuff. I'm a programmer by trade, but started off as a web programmer, just FYI, but whatever. So yeah, I sort of made this to look somewhat like the Tetra Jets from Transformers. It's a little different, I had to cut corners because I wasn't able to really shape it as nicely as I would have liked. I think it looks good. It looks pretty cool. Um, and let's see. Last but not least, I'll show off the map that is going to be in the demo of this when I release a demo, which is coming soon. I'd say a week. All I really have to do is finish the effects and polish this map that I'm about to show. So the space map. Okay, so this is using planets that have an atmosphere. As you can see, the clouds are moving. That's an 8K texture, uh, but I did this with blender noise generation and messing around with all of that. Again, I'm not good at that stuff. I think it looks okay, but it has a lot of work to go to look good. This planet here is done procedurally as well with, as you can see, the atmosphere around it is moving. There's a dark side based on the direction of the sun, and it's subtle, but it's a gas giant. It's subtle, but the gas or whatever is moving around as well. Um, I don't think it looks cool, right? Like I think it looks okay. I would like to get it to the point to where it's looking like some of the more expensive and nicer space packs on the marketplace. But in my game, I had designed it to just use those, right? Like I actually have a couple of them, and I'll probably end up buying more. Uh, so I wanted to use those because again, doing all this extra work, what's the point? That's what the marketplace is for, right? But I'm eventually going to flesh out these to include in my own asset, just because I mean I did the work anyway, so I might as well release it. But yeah, so this is procedural, done. There's no textures in this. There's textures in this, but there's none in this. This is done with noise. Um, and if you use textures, at least I don't know how to move the the gases or whatever you call it, the patterns or whatever around. So yeah, the sky sphere I did myself with, I forgot the name of the tool. It's a cool tool, really powerful. You could do all kinds of cool stuff with it. Um, I'm pretty proud of it, you know. But this is the only one I'm going to include. Actually, I think I have two or three more, but I got them from the space game of my other asset, the arcade starter pack. I made a 3D space game just for that. That's really what sparked the work on this in the first place. Was I made a 3D space game for the arcade starter pack, and then I was like, you know what? Why don't I just go and make a whole thing? Because I always loved games like Mass Effect that told an amazing story and really had all kinds of elements to them and whatever. And I felt that that game would have been a hell of a lot better if they had at least for a little bit of capacity to fly one of those cool ships and do some dog fighting and whatever. Uh, so I thought of my own idea of making sort of a space opera with that capacity in it. But anyway, there's a sun. I made this by doing the tutorial on YouTube for what's the guy's name? Arnagon, Aragon, whatever the hell, Aragon's puzzle box or something like that. This took like 2 hours of constantly pausing and rewinding and whatever on that. I think the video itself was like, it probably took more than 2 hours, but it was a detailed video. If you look at the, see if we can, it's really right. Right. Oh wait, that's the atmosphere, no? Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, we don't want that. We don't want just that. We want the. Oh, right, 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 right. Yeah, there we go. Right. If you look at the, oh, yeah, it's crazy. The material itself is crazy. So look at the size of it. This is like, what is it? 600 and something instructions. It's a really detailed shader. Again, I'm not really an artist in this sense. I've just followed along on a tutorial to make this, and then I added my own. I added an atmosphere mesh that uses a different material. So it's sort of like it's subtle the way you sort of see like around the edge. It's got like movement and stuff, and so combining the two, uh, yeah, it looks really cool. See, so it's sort of the edge and all of that. Really, it's mostly for atmosphere and such. I haven't fully finished it so that like you can't. Um, there's not a lot of stuff that can be done to it. Construction script. See, I'm still working on that. So this is the final stuff that's left to do. Oh, also, where is it? Also, there is a main menu. So this is for the demo, right? So we can start or we can quit. Right? Start, and you can pick whatever ship you want. So these two are some CCO ships that I found on that website I was talking about earlier. This UFO I made. This is actually from the arcade starter pack. And then there's two different skins of the Tetrajet thing that I made. And these I know these images are goofy looking. I just took them from within the editor or whatever, and did it that way. But anyway, so yeah, so you pick whichever one you want to use, and it starts you off here in this demo map. And of course, I gotta add the weapons and stuff like that, the asteroids and all of that. But I mean, all in all, like I said, it's very close to being done. I don't like showing off stuff that's not 100% done because you know I always feel like it like gives other people a chance to like, oh, I'll steal their idea and I'll do it or whatever. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's almost done. It's not a big deal. I actually realized recently that somebody else released a space flight type pack thing that really looks good. The ship itself looks awesome. The UI looks awesome. But I think mine is better still. And again, I'm biased, but because mine has all kinds of cool stuff, the different weapons and the different systems, the modularity and all of that. So, and plus, there's like $100. I have no intention of charging that much for this. This will probably be like a maximum of $50. I'll put it on sale maybe 6 months after I release it, whatever. And then the entire role playing game pack will probably be about 100, $150. That's with all the different modules. There's going to be, the map system. There's going to be a travel thing. I don't plan on making it so that you can land on planets. If Unreal evolves to the point where that's going to be a lot easier to do, then yeah, that's what I would like to do. Again, like a No Man's Sky type of thing. But I had planned to do it sort of like the Mass Effect way, where you have like a mega ship that is in an overhead map type of thing, where you fly to planets, you go to the planet, and maybe you could click on it, or you can deploy this ship, or one of the smaller ships, and do it like that. you know, uh, I would love to have people help me on this and recruit people to sort of make a game with all of this. Maybe some artists to help and things like that. That's something that I really want to work towards in the future. But I feel that without something to show and prove that I've done, the work that I've done, that who the hell's going to want to join up, right? So, that's something as well. Because the overall game itself that I want to make is a very ambitious project. Can it be done by a solo developer? Absolutely. Uh, is it going to take forever? Maybe Unreal 6 will be out by the time, Unreal Engine 6 will be out by the time I actually get it done. So I don't really want to take the next 10 years of my life to do a game. You know, I would rather have people help me and such on it. But if that's what it takes, so be it. And all along the way, I will be releasing the different parts of the systems as marketplace things so that other people can make their own games. And, you know, that's pretty much my motivation. I want to make, cool stuff that other people can use as tools. And I also want to make my own vision of a very cool space RPG sort of, you know, Mass Effect inspired type of game because I think that space is such a fun and very underused theme in video games. I don't know why, but whatever. Um, Maybe the flat earthers are gonna be pissed, but I really don't care. Right? Like there's no space. Right, whatever. But I believe there is space. I certainly hope there is because being confined to one planet, I don't know. I'd like to get in a spaceship and take off. Fucking planet sucks. But anyway, uh, that's enough. I'm starting to ramble. So I wanted to show all this off. I hope people like it. I hope some people are excited about it and want to download it and buy it or whatever. Um, Last thing I'll say about this is to make sure that the pirates don't have their way with this. I'm also going to be releasing a non-commercial version on GitHub. So as soon as this is done, yes, it's going on the marketplace, and the entire all of the systems that I'm creating are going to piece by piece go on the marketplace, but they're also going up on GitHub to for people to use in non-commercial ways. So this way, the pirates can kiss my ass. They why pirate something that's already out for free on the internet anyway? It's just that you can't use it commercially if you're going to use the GitHub version. Whereas if you buy it on the marketplace, you got full commercial rights. So that being said, that's pretty much all I have to say about this. I hope somebody watched to the end. If you did watch to the end, you're a fucking legend. And any and all feedback is greatly appreciated. And if you're interested in this project in general, or helping on it, or something like that, or a space game is something you've always wanted to work on, and you're an artist or whatever, hit me up. My email is the same thing as my YouTube name, right? Just at gmail.com. So gstreetgames at gmail.com. Hit me up if you're interested or if you have something to say about it. If you think I'm an asshole, whatever. I don't really care. So, thanks for watching. I hope you like what you saw. Give critique and, have a great day. All right. See you.